Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Black Hills AI webinar, The Fastest Path to AI. We're excited to show you what we've been working on. Before we get started, here are a few reminders. A recording of this episode and the slides will be made available on the Black Hills AI YouTube channel as well as the Black Hills AI website. Feel free to enter any questions using the Q&A feature in the Zoom menu. We invite you to follow us on LinkedIn and visit our website to learn about our other webinars. Before we dive in, here's a quick look at the Otto IP team. We have our CEO, Jim Hellenbeck, our Chief AI Officer and presenter today, Tom Marlow, our Online Services Product Lead, Scott Otto, one of our Business Development Directors, Mike Cravaro, and myself, Erica Wynn. As a quick background, Black Hills AI was founded over 15 years ago by IP professionals. Our tools are designed to be general purpose assistants for IP professionals and can be used by your entire firm or company. None of your data is ever used for training our tools, ensuring that your work and data remain confidential. And with that, I will turn things over to Tom.
All right, thanks, Erica, and welcome everybody. If you're tuning in live and if you're listening in on the recording, thanks for listening in. Today we're going to be going over um, AI implementations, particularly as they would apply to the products that Black Hills is has available for customers. Um, To introduce myself, I'm Tom Marlow, Chief AI Officer and Patent Attorney with Black Hills AI, and been working with Black Hills for, a little over a decade now. Um, I think one thing that's worth noting is there's kind of two ways you can come into the AI tools that we have, and you'll, in a minute, as we go over how they work, you'll kind of see how they fit into the ecosystem. One is you can sign up and become an Auto IP customer directly and have access to these tools as they are. We also offer some best-in-class docketing and renewals management service, and so the AI tools, the Auto IP that we're going to look at, can be an add-on and a kind of a benefit on top of those products that we also offer. Okay, so just a little piece of background. When we demo a few of the things in the upcoming slides, we're going to be using recorded walkthroughs. That's mostly just to be uh, respectful of everybody's time, so that we aren't all waiting for thoughts to process. The other thing is, particularly when we get to questions, the pricing is something that we would cover with a follow-up conversation. So we won't cover that as part of this session. There's a few variables that come into play, and it'll be best just to talk that over with our kind of no pressure sales team. Okay, so let's enough of that background. Before we dive in, let's do a quick poll here for the folks that are on. And this is going to be about what tools you currently use. So if you have a second, take a minute to answer those questions. If there's any of the tools that we have listed here that you currently use. All right, responses are looking pretty good. I'm going to give this another 10 seconds or so. All right, lock in your answers, and we're going to close the poll down and share the results. Okay, very interesting. We see a decent amount of Claude, Copilot, ChatGPT, some Harvey, and a few other tools that maybe are not mentioned above, and a couple that are using some of our tools already as well, which is great. All right, thanks everybody. Some of what we'll be talking about in just a minute, actually ties into and can go along with some of these tools that folks are already using. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so let's start from the beginning with the friction that we've seen. And if this applies to you, you're not alone. So, a lot of times, how it starts is a team picks an AI tool, runs a pilot, looks great, the demo looks great. And then when it gets rolled out, it's in production, or someone asks a question about a live matter, the results are sometimes, let's say, less than expected, hedged, dated, sometimes wrong. Um, what's important to note is this is generally not just an AI problem. Most of the time, what we've seen is this is a data problem. Although these things can look very similar kind of from the outside. And what it comes down to is uh, matter data. So the data that you're going to need on your cases typically sits in systems that makes the export of that data, the querying, the integration, slow, expensive, unfortunately, sometimes contractually limited. And so your AI tool, which has got this, we'll just call it brain power, to do a lot of really interesting analysis, gets fed partial data, and then very confidently, unfortunately, guesses. And you wind up with answers that are underwhelming. Um, at the end of the day, the goal is reliable AI technology, reliable AI analysis and responses. And to do that, you need reliable data. So the fix here is not too complicated, but it's structured current IP data that gets delivered to your tools in a well-organized fashion. And that's what we're about to take a look at. So let's go ahead and dive into the ways that Black Hills AI is able to help you with this issue. So over the past 15 years or so, Black Hills has been developing what I think is reasonable to call world-class operations for IP data collection and processing. If you've seen any of our docketing products in the past, um, this hopefully rings true. But we've we started this company with as a docketing service. And in order to do docketing in a reliable and as perfect as possible way, uh, the key comes down to the data that we're processing. So over the last decade and a half, we've had to become very good at collecting complete and accurate data sets. So the beauty is now that we're in a position to give you access to that data in a meaningful way for AI implementations. So there's three options that we have currently. Um, One is called Otto HUB. So these are very clearly defined APIs, kind of what you might expect for traditional software development access. The other is Otto MCP, which is a MCP server that can hook into Claude, Copilot, ChatGPT, Harvey, whatever tools you may currently be using, so that you can leverage your own tools to access your data. And the third are custom built kind of purpose-driven auto IP tools that are kind of specialized for doing certain tasks and generally include some sort of interactive analysis and workflow. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. Starting with the Otto MCP. So we see a lot of the folks on the call are already using some of the popular AI tools and foundational models like Claude and Copilot and ChatGPT. Auto MCP is a an option to just configure into those so that you can do your IP analysis right from the tools you're familiar with. Let's take a look at an example. I'm going to run an example here using my Claude account. I've got our MCP hooked to it. So in this case, what I'm going to do, knowing that the auto IP is tied to our Claude, I'm going to ask it to review um, the most recent rejection on, and I'll put this application number in, one that I know we've had a recent office action um, from the Auto Hub, and we'll summarize it. And so this is a pretty simple request. But what I like is we can see how the tool is kind of moving through the analysis using the Auto Hub integration data, finds the office action from March, pulls the document, it's extracting the text, and then gives me a nice summary that we'll see get generated right here. Okay, so I've got a 101 issue with this particular matter. Great. So typically, if I'm at this state um, where I've got an open office action a few months ago, uh, the next step is I want to be thinking about a response. So let's ask Claude to help with that. Um, we're going to create a response. I'm going to ask it to be created in docx format. And let's go ahead and say, give me some annotations in that document for optional recommendations. So I'm not just stuck with one direction of analysis. Since it has access to my entire portfolio here, I can tell it to use the style of related or other applications for this client um, for reference so that the style of the response matches uh, what I've used in the past. Okay, so now we can see it going to work. It's going to grab the file history to try and pull any responses that might exist there. It's going to go to the customer number and look for related matters there. It's going to look at personnel records. I think I don't have those tied in on this particular account. So you can see kind of the quote unquote thought process and the different data options from AutoHub that now Claude has got access to try to do its analysis. And now it feels comfortable that it's in a place to build its response. I had to authorize one of the steps that it was doing, and it's going to start building. So it's going to be working on the response document here. It's going to be adding in comments. So like the comments that you might expect in a Word document when you're maybe reviewing it. We're going to go ahead and add those for additional suggestions, annotations, or recommendations. And then the nice thing is, as it builds, it gives us this kind of play-by-play, so we can see if there's any issues or at least confirm that it's doing the right thing. So we had a comment that was added around an amendment option, a comment a second ago around some case law, a third comment about a Berkheimer argument, a fourth comment tying in some USPTO guidance. So it's got the comments ready, and now it's going to work on the docx markup so that it puts those in the right place so it's usable within the end product. And then what I like is, and this is more of a Claude thing, but it'll go and check to make sure what it's done. It like does a little QA, make sure it's valid. If there's an issue, it fixes it. And we can see now the docx being generated over here on the right. And then it gives us a nice little summary. So it put together the response. We've got a few embedded comments. Here's what they are. And our response document shows up here. So you can take a look at it within Claude itself. Arguments, layout as you might expect. Obviously, if you're an attorney, you're not going to file this as is. You're going to give this the same level of review as you would if you had anybody else draft a response that you're going to sign your name on. But here's the view of this in Word uh, downloaded, and we can see the comments here in these various sections offering optional kind of alternatives that can be done at each step. So I can decide if I want to go with the original or adjust my argumentation at all, or edit it as I feel fit as a practitioner. Okay, so that's a quick overview of what you can do with the Otto MCP tied into your current tools. Obviously, the the world is your oyster to a certain extent as far as being able to do even more and more based on your expertise as an attorney. But this should give you a bit of a taste. So the next of the items that we're going to take a look at is called Otto Hub. So Otto Hub, like I mentioned before, is a series of predefined APIs. As a customer, you'll have access to generate API keys, like a lot of other tools that exist on the internet, to be able to integrate into your own kind of custom software development. So, kind of a more traditional software development approach. If you want to build workflow tools, for example, this is a great place to look if you've got those resources. So from a demo perspective, what I'm going to show you today is a little lightweight tool that I built a few weeks ago that is not the prettiest of UIs. So please don't judge that on me. But it's built to show you how using the AutoHub APIs can work to do a thing. So I've got this tool. It's for product analysis, like competitor product analysis against my current claim set. We can see from this screenshot, we're going to use 5 endpoints from our AutoHub APIs, get biblio information, get file history information, get claim sets, and then these 2 signed URLs are how you get documents. It's all in our documentation, but let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. Okay, So first thing I'm going to do, this tool is built to take in an application number. From there, we can load in the bibliographic information on the matter, and then I have it grab the file history, the claims, and we're going to work off of some of this information. So here's a JSON response of a call to the file history endpoint. We can see, what you might expect in the like the if you went to Patent Center and you were looking at the file history. It's kind of the JSON version of that. We can see what you know, the, the responses look like for these other endpoints as well. Now in the UI, I've had it display, here's the file history, and I've asked the tool to give me a summary of the prosecution history for this matter. So we've got a paragraph summary, we've got key milestones and recent events. Then I'm telling it, pull out my independent claims. I want to look at those, pull out the specification. I want to pull that in. You'll notice I've got it truncated here. That's just for speed for this demo. And then what I have here is I've got a spot to upload this document, which is just a made-up document of a competitor product. But basically, what this tool is built to do is I drop in a competitor specification, a web page, something like that, and I'm asking it to go take a look at the claims, go take a look at how well the elements of the claims cover this competitor product. I think I've got it focused only on the independent claims. So I want to know what my coverage looks like, where are my gaps, and then I ask it to take a look at the specification and based on support that I may have in the specification, suggest me some amendments. So if this is a pending matter, I've got an active competitor, um, maybe I'm looking to file a continuation, maybe I just want to consider my current claim scope. That's what this tool is for. Like I said, this is built for demo purposes so that we can see how the APIs work. But you can kind of get a sense of some of the things that you can do using using this API data. Okay, so this is kind of option number two that we have. We looked at the MCP, we looked at these uh, APIs, um, and any number of other kind of tools or products could be built on top of these APIs as well. All right, the third thing that we're going to look at here are auto IP tools. And this is where we spend a good amount of development time internally working on custom built tools for paralegal or attorney um, process or projects. Okay, so this one that we're going to look at right now is in beta currently. So you get like a little sneak peek of it today. And it's our office action tool. So obviously, office actions are and dealing with responses are a thing that happens quite a bit in prosecution. So it's a popular area. Let's take a look at how this tool operates within our Auto IP ecosystem. So you would log in and go to the office action tool where you may have a number of matters that already have this analysis kind of run on them. But I'm going to show you if I want to just put in a new matter. This one I know has got a office action on it. We can take a look here at the process or the analysis that's happening behind the scenes. So first, the tool is gathering all the necessary documents and data. Then it's going to go and summarize, in this case, the office action itself. It's going to pull out the references and analyze each one with respect to the examiner's arguments as the examiner is purporting to use them. From that reference analysis, Then we get into, I believe, arguments is next. See, the reference analysis is one of the takes a little bit more time, particularly on matters where there's multiple. Yep, we get into argument generation. So based on the strength of the examiner's positions with those references, this tool is going to generate a number of argument positions that we're going to take a look at in a second. Uh, from from there, we'll look at generating some potential amendment suggestions, if that's a path that you want to take as a practitioner. And again, these will be shown within the tool as well. And then we summarize all the results, analysis complete, and we can now start the work. And then the work is done by this first tab is the Office Action document. It basically breaks up all of the text from the Office Action document into sections so that they can be managed kind of item by item. The next tab, we get a summary of the Office Action, executive summary of kind of its strength, and we've got a tab here for response draft. Client letter, kind of a base client letter is generated that can be copied and dropped into email. Oh, here's the response draft that can be generated right here in the tool, or you can upload one that you're already working on, or if you've got a template that you like to work with. Um, in a second, we'll see how some of the tool ties into the response draft directly. If we go back to the Office Action document itself, we can take a look at what happens when you click on any of these sections. You get a summary of the analysis. And when we get into rejections that need to be directly responded to, the tool gives you a strategy recommendation, and then I can break out the argument suggestions. And we get little like 1 to 2 sentence conservative and aggressive argument suggestions, and then also some case law suggestions as well. And this is an area where, particularly when it comes to case law, where practitioners sometimes get worried because there's been uh, issues that have made the news where AI tools have hallucinated and created their own uh, case law that maybe didn't actually exist. To help battle that exact issue, we maintain a database of cases that can be used in a rejection response. So specifically like appellate cases where a examiner's rejection was overturned so that our tool can look to those cases and find those that might apply or be more relevant to the matter at hand. And then it makes a argument and cites that case law. And from this tool, I can click and actually see the case brief that we maintain, the facts, the reason for overturning, the relevant quotes from the case, so you can see where this analysis is actually coming from. Our goal is to make sure that we don't have our tool just hallucinating case law. So that's one of the reasons why we leverage this database that we maintain. Let's say there's one of these arguments that I like, so I'm taking a look at this aggressive one. We click on generate paragraph, and it gives you a paragraph um, with more detail in how that argument would be put together. From here, you can copy it to the clipboard or add it right into the response draft that we have in the tool. Okay, we've also got amendment suggestions and reference analysis. The reference analysis We've got two references used in this 103 rejection, and it breaks down a summary of the references and an analysis of the elements of the claim, in this case, claim two, versus what is actually disclosed within the reference. And we can see how that applies in both of these, the Lee and the Harvey reference. And just from this, I can tell there's a number of elements that don't seem to be well covered in these references. So good response options for this particular argument. Okay, up at the top here, if I wanted to view the claims, the spec, the references themselves, the document that exists, I can click on those. This final tab over on the end, custom analysis, I like because, we try and build these tools so that you can, um, this, so that to handle most of the use cases, but the custom analysis allows you to say, well, hey, I really need to understand something that's not clearly laid out in this interactive tool. So in this case, I want to know, are the elements of Claim 9 found in the hold reference, as an example? So each of these items I've got kind of click addable as context into my Otto IP chat window. And here I've asked it this question. It's going to do a breakdown element by element of claim 9 versus what is or is not disclosed in that Holt reference. So it allows you to quickly and easily take some of this data that we have on hand and do some additional analysis that might help you get your response prepared in a more efficient manner. And that's really the goal of a lot of the tools that we're creating here is how can we allow our customers to leverage these AI tools more efficiently, more accurately, using their data to be able to get their jobs done. And then as you're working through, let's say I've prepared my response for the 112 rejection. I've prepared my double patenting. I can check off each of these sections so that I know um, when I'm done and I've covered all of the examiner's points and I'm ready to kind of call my response draft complete. Okay, so that is our office action analysis tool. Goal being to help our attorney customers prepare their responses in the most efficient manner as possible. So, where to start from here, now that you've seen our tools, is uh, to reach out. You can reach out on this link that we're providing here if you want to scan this QR code and set up a short kind of no pressure consultation with our team. Can walk through any questions you might have, see how it applies to your current tools and your current process, and see what might be a good fit, whether it's signing up as kind of a standalone Otto IP customer, how we can integrate with the tools that you're using, sponsorship with the USPTO, does docketing, does renewals, do any of these other service tie-ins make sense? Um, One thing I always like to note, because whenever AI tools are involved, the question of security and privacy comes up. We are a US infrastructure leveraging OAuth 2, single sign-on as needed, uh, zero data retention APIs. Like Erica mentioned at the beginning, no customer data is ever used for model training. Um, if the MCP is something that's interesting and your team has already approved the AI tool, its addition is a relatively small review from a security perspective to add in. Um, all right. So from there, let's go ahead and open up the floor for any questions.
Hi, Tom. So
Hey.
the question is how or can Otto MCP review similar rejections from the same art unit or examiner to help build a recommendation or strategy that has a higher chance of success? Additionally, can or does this tool highlight or factor in things like examiner analytics, for example, interview, RCE, or appeal win rates?
Yeah, that's a great question, and actually very timely because we've been we've been building out the capability of our MCP over the last few months, and one of the recent ads that I think is in testing right now, I'll have to double check exactly where it is exactly what you're talking about. So we've offered examiner analytics as part of our uh, docketing service generated every time that an office action is processed with these items, interview success, RCEs, appeal win rates, those types of things. We have all that data on hand, along with all the underlying data that's used to do that analysis. And we are just in the process of tying that into the MCP so that it can be built in to that exact line of questioning. Building a strategy around an office action response given the examiner analytic stats.
Right. The next question is, where does the MCP live? Is it cloud-based or in the customer environment?
Yeah, we host the MCP because the data that is tied to it is on our servers. So it is, effectively that's cloud-based.
Okay. For a firm that's never used Auto IP before, um, which of the three paths do you typically recommend they start with and why?
So I think the with my attorney hat on, I hate to say it, but the answer is depends, which is my default go-to for most questions. But I would answer it this way. If you've got existing AI tools that you're already using, the MCP is the fastest way to start to start getting results. You could hook that up in an afternoon after kind of getting things integrated and be ready to do your analyses as needed from there. 100 different kinds of analyses. If you are new to AI tools and new to Black Hills, the the Auto IP tools give you kind of a more structured guidance, and that might be a much easier place to start. Um, of course, that's all to say that not to say that uh, um, you couldn't start by, building your own custom workflow tools. It's just that's typically not where folks start.
I use Claude for today for general work. When you say I can connect to the MCP to Claude, is that my individual Claude account or does it have to go through a firm's enterprise setup?
Yeah, so I mean, it can work with either. Um, there's no kind of restriction necessarily besides what your firm policies may be. As an attorney, I typically recommend using firm enterprise accounts for this type of work, as opposed to personal and don't use free versions for patent work and legal work. Um, but yeah, my recommendation is to work with your enterprise systems.
That is the last pending question.
All right, I'm going to flip our slide back to the link for anybody that might want to grab that before we close. I'll give another second in case there are any other questions. But thanks, everyone. Great questions, by the way, across the board. And as always, if any additional questions come up, feel free to reach out to us. Always happy um, to talk about these tools or AI implementations in general. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.